In the dark of the night, a city in despair, whispers in the alley, secrets fill the air. A shattered planet where the truth is hard to find, mysteries unraveling, leaving scars behind. Shattered planet where the shadows breed, crimes unsolved, a never-ending need. Rocking the headlines, the stories untold. Welcome to the chaos, the darkness unfolds.
Keir Starmer clattered into office last year with a promise to smash the gangs and stop the boats. Speaking before the election, Sir Keir confidently said the only way to end the migrant crisis was to arrest criminals smuggling people over the border. Nothing else would do. Not the Rwanda plan, not mass deportations, and definitely not leaving his beloved ECHR. Well, we see the results of his cunning little plan. More than 20,000 migrants have crossed the Channel so far this year, with countless more to come in the coming weeks. Border Force officials are expecting several red days, meaning hundreds of asylum seekers will be landing on our shores every day in the next couple of weeks. So how does Sir Keir Starmer plan to stop this madness? He wants a new one in, one out deal with France. This is a real stroke of genius. After our last deal with Macron ended in UK taxpayers paying the French cops millions to lounge on the beach. If Sir Keir is truly interested in stopping the boats, he should ditch his dreadful deal with the French and instead take a lesson from the Greeks. Our friends in Athens prefer a policy of pushbacks, intercepting migrant boats and dragging them back to the waters they came from. The policy has worked like magic. It was reported earlier this week that the migrant crossings to Lesbos, previously peaking up to 3,500 per day, have now dropped to 1,700 this entire year. Unsurprisingly, dodgy charities and woke NGOs are not happy about it, but I suspect many Greek voters are rather chuffed with the results. Will Keir Starmer make a similarly brave decision and start dragging small boats back to French waters? I highly doubt it. The Prime Minister is far too concerned with the North London dinner party circuit and far too afraid of Labour lefties to ever make such a daring decision. Instead, he will spend the next 4 years harping on about smashing the gangs as tens of thousands of illegal migrants cross our border, claim benefits, and work illegally. The system needs fixing, but it's clear he's not the man to do it. Considering that Patrick Christie from GB News has been to Calais, found a people smuggler, got on his TikTok and Instagram, which both show him smuggling people and showing off guns.
I went to Calais a few weeks ago and exposed just how bad the problem really is. Since then, I've been doing my best to expose the illegal migrant gangs, showing how easy it is to get their personal information, their locations, and, if the authorities really wanted to, get them nicked. We have handed over the details of several human traffickers. Now, Labour wants you to believe everyone coming over in those boats is a vulnerable woman and child.
And when you see that the majority of the people in these boats are children, babies and women who have been...
No, they're not.
Well, today, the situation has escalated massively, and I am pleading with the National Crime Agency, Sir Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper to step in and do something. I think that they need to see this, and I think that you deserve to know the truth. I received this video from a human trafficker. That gun appears to be an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle. Specifically, I think it looks a lot like this gun. It's a Hatsan Escort tactical shotgun, and if you look as well, it appears on that casing that you'll see behind the weapon there, it appears to have the word Escort written on it. Now, AR-15s are commonly used in American mass shootings, and the Washington Post says that AR-15 fires bullets at such a high velocity, often in a barrage of 30 or even 100 in rapid succession, that it can eviscerate multiple people in seconds. The smuggler's TikTok page shows people coming across in the back of lorries. It also shows him bringing people over in boats. Yeah, that is, for the record, by the way, another lorry, but there are boat clips on his TikTok as well. And I know that he has been organising crossings from this precise location in the last few days. So I have had confirmation that he is organising boat crossings from that exact location, OK? What is there to stop him bringing that across the channel, that semi-automatic rifle, or arming other illegal migrants with it? Now, we have handed, yet again, all our information and evidence to the authorities. And I'm begging them, please act on it.
If a reporter is able to find this information out, why is the supposed leader of the UK having so much difficulty in finding and stopping these smugglers? Downing Street has hailed the toughening of tactics by French police in the war on small boats as footage emerged of officers slashing a dinghy packed with migrants and dragging the deflated vessel back to dry land.
Okay, they're slicing it. They're coming in to slice the boat now. The police have come in to slice the boat. Look at that guy's furious. Okay.
On security. Go, go, go.
Okay, to your right, the policeman here. He's pulling them in to your right.
I do find it awfully convenient that on the one day the French police decide to slash the boats, there happens to be a news reporter and a video camera pointing right at them. The Prime Minister's spokesperson has described the new approach as significant, as footage shows gendarmes taking a knife to the boat, which was teeming with people in life jackets, hoping to make it to Britain. The dramatic footage shows the officers taking off their utility belts before dashing into the water, armed with knives, in what looks to be a preview of the new approach being unveiled at a France-UK summit on tackling the issue. A single jab with a blade is all it takes to puncture the boat, which begins rapidly collapsing into the water as the would-be migrants cry out in anger, having just boarded the vessel seconds before. Furious screams can be heard as they scurry to get back to the beach, while children can be seen crying. All the migrants on board manage to make their way safely back to the shore. It's a dramatic new tactic by French police, who previously said French law prevents them from interfering with boats more than 10 feet from the coast. The rule is in the process of being scrapped with France and Britain, but some police appear to be acting early, prompting anger from refugee charities. Number 10 hailed the actions of French cops on Friday as a significant moment that could have a major impact on smuggling gangs. Downing Street said the change in stance from the French law enforcement was thanks to the Prime Minister's reset in relations with Europe, as he has looked to heal the wounds caused by the Brexit years. The spokesman said, "No government has ever been able to get this level of cooperation with the French. That is important. We are looking to see France change its maritime tactics, and that is down to the Prime Minister's efforts to reset our relationship across Europe." This comes after it has now been revealed that British taxpayers are forking out £6 million a day to house asylum seekers in hotels. This shocking figure comes despite Rachel Reeves vowing to close every migrant hotel by July 2029. Speaking in a debate in the House of Lords on the 1st of July, Lord Hanson of Flint said the costs involved in operating asylum hotels have reduced by a third. According to Lord Hanson, the figure is on a downward trajectory, as this time last year housing asylum seekers was costing the country £8.5 million under the Conservative government. He did admit, however, that the number is still too high. He also said, "We have reduced the number of hotels. In fact, we have fewer hotels now in the week of the general election anniversary than we had last year when the Conservative Party left office. It is our ambition to further reduce that." When the Conservatives were in office, hotel costs peaked at £9 million per day. This time last year, they were £8.5 million per day. And this year, they are £6 million per day. That's still too high, but it is on the right downward trajectory, and we will continue to safeguard in doing that. But meanwhile, as more and more immigrants flood into the country, more incidents like this are happening.
In the UK for just 2.5 months, gets caught doing this, and now he's asking to just go back home like nothing happened?
Can you explain to me why you're here today to meet this child?
Simply, sir.
Huh?
Simply, sir.
What does that mean?
Simply means I just came, that's it, sir. Nothing intentional or something.
Okay. You reached out to this child. The child told you she was 12 on many occasions. You've said things like, delete the chat from your mum, don't tell her what you're doing.
How long have you been in the UK?
So just 2.5 months.
2.5 months. And you're trying to meet a child today? Yes?
Yeah. I don't know about that. Leave me, actually.
We should just let you go.
Sir, I can go to my town.
You want to go home? Absolutely not. No. Police will be here 5-10 minutes. When the police arrive, they're going to look at our evidence,
Sorry.
and you're going to be arrested.
I don't know that that it is, it is wrong or something like that.
Of course you do. That's why you tell the child to delete the messages. You could go to prison, possibly, for a long time. Look at me. You can go to prison. Stop touching. Nobody wants to touch you.
Leave.
Right.
Sir, leave me, sir.
Listen.
I need
I'm in
to-
charge of the station.
Sir.
I'm just telling you But you're here on a work visa, yeah?
Correct.
Far too many of these people are sexually attracted to little girls. They need chemical castration and deported back to where they came from, or dumped on an island and left there to rot. A cabinet minister has declined to give assurances that number of small boat arrivals will come down by this time next year. Pat McFadden said ministers are going to have to work harder to bring down the crossings amid record numbers in the first half of the year. The Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster said, "Everyone in government knows it's a big challenge. As the tally for 2025 nears 20,000 people, Chris Phillip, the Shadow Home Secretary, said, Pat McFadden has finally admitted what's been clear to the public for months. Keir Starmer has lost control of our borders. Over 20,000 illegal crossings so far this year, and tens of thousands more are on the way. Now even the Prime Minister's right-hand man can't say whether the numbers will go down next year. This is a national security crisis, and Labour are asleep at the wheel, completely distracted by the crisis made in Downing Street. Some 19,982 migrants have arrived in the UK after making the dangerous crossing by the end of June, according to the latest Home Office figures. Another 879 migrants made the journey in 13 boats last Monday, the third highest number of arrivals on a single day so far this year. Data collection on the Channel crossings began in 2018, and these numbers are only the ones we know about. I guarantee there will be many more in the UK that slip through the net unnoticed. Concerned MPs have claimed that Home Office staff have no idea how many migrants are working illegally in the UK. They reportedly failed to check exit data under the Skilled Worker Visa Scheme and are unsure how many migrants are overstaying. Around 1.2 million people have come to the UK on the visas since the scheme was launched in 2020. However, a report by Parliament's Public Accounts Committee found ministers have never checked exit data. It was also revealed that some migrants are working excessive hours and in exploitative conditions. Asylum seekers are not allowed to work in the UK for at least a year when waiting for claims to be processed. Even those given permits cannot work as delivery drivers under Home Office rules. Food delivery firms such as Deliveroo, Just Eat and Uber Eats are being urged to improve the security of the mobile phone apps to stop asylum seekers working unlawfully. The Home Office wants them to add a facial recognition feature to apps used to assign jobs to the drivers. This would ensure that only the registered user is able to use the app. It is feared that people with the right to work in the UK are registering accounts and then selling access to asylum seekers. The only way to stop them getting jobs as delivery drivers would be to stop using the companies themselves that employ them. They all inflate the prices of the items to begin with, and then they add service charges, bag fees, delivery. Before you know it, a £30 order from a takeaway has turned into a £40 order. Now I'm guilty of doing it myself, and I'm going to make a better effort to not substitute cost for convenience, and either plan meals at home better, or if I get a takeaway, I'll go and collect it. I urge everybody else as well to stop using these delivery companies. A petition calling for the end of financial support for asylum seekers has passed another major milestone. The online document, set up by Bob Clements, has been signed by more than 408,140 signatures at the time of writing. It's called for a cessation of financial and other support provided to asylum seekers by the government. Mr. Clements added, this support currently includes shelter, food, medical care, including optical and dental, and cash support. I believe that such provisions may inadvertently incentivize illegal migration, particularly via the English Channel. This petition is to urge the government to discontinue these support measures and payments. Every petition signed by at least 100,000 people is considered for debate by the MPs. According to Parliament's website, Mr. Clements has been waiting for 35 days for a debate date. The government responds to those with 10,000 supporters or more. In this case, the government said there is a legal requirement to support asylum seekers who would otherwise be living on the streets, but it added that ministers are determined to tackle illegal migration and end the use of asylum hotels. A spokesperson also said the government are grateful to everyone who took the time to sign this petition. They added, the petition proposes ending that support immediately, and while we understand the objective behind the proposal, we have to recognise that in many cases, the people currently receiving that support would end up living on the streets instead, including many women and children. According to the latest official data, the number of rough sleepers in England in autumn 2024 was 4,667. So if we immediately ended the support given to every asylum seeker, it would increase that number by multiple amounts. The government also said, we believe a better approach is to continue speeding up the process of asylum claims so that people who are genuine refugees can be accepted. Those who are not can be rejected and removed. And either way, we can keep working to cut the amount of money spent on asylum support. In addition, we will continue taking strong action to reduce the number of people entering the UK asylum system in the first place. And while the government is faffing around, the police have launched a manhunt after a group of men allegedly sexually assaulted a woman and several teenage girls on the London Underground. British Transport Police have released this photo of the man caught on CCTV in a bid to gather information about the incident, which happened at around 6:10 p.m. on Tuesday, June the 10th. A group of men are thought to have boarded the Piccadilly Line train at Heathrow Terminal 5 before disembarking at Knightsbridge Station. The British Transport Police have appealed for witnesses of the incident to come forward and confirm that a police investigation has been launched. While on the train, they sexually assaulted several teenage girls and an adult woman. They then got off the train at Knightsbridge Underground Station. Detectives believe the man in the images may have information which could help their investigation. The image shows a dark-skinned man with a slight beard and short black hair. who appears to be wearing a blue jacket with a white logo and black sunglasses. Anyone who recognises this individual can contact the British Transport Police by texting 61016 or calling 0800 40 50 40 and quoting reference number 289 of the 10th of June. Let's find him and get him caught. He's obviously a danger to the general public. Some asylum seekers will be told to pay for their own accommodation as the government attempts to close down asylum hotels, Home Secretary Yvette Cooper said. And she confirmed that the UK is pushing France to take tougher action to stop migrants crossing the Channel in small boats. Ms. Cooper insisted the government would meet its target of removing asylum seekers from hotels by the end of this parliament, and said some people who apply for asylum could be told to pay for their own accommodation. She said an increasing number of foreign students have started applying for asylum. If they have been here working or studying, they should have funding to support themselves and shouldn't be going into asylum accommodation. Accommodation for asylum seekers is expected to cost more than £15 billion, with the bulk of the money spent on hotels, the National Audit Office has warned in May. And last month, a House of Lords committee was told by David Bolt, the independent chief inspector of borders and immigration, that the government would fail to meet its target of closing the hotels. He said there is simply not sufficient housing to be able to deal with the sorts of numbers that are in the system. But Ms. Cooper insisted the Home Office would succeed in clearing the backlog of asylum seekers by processing claims faster. She also confirmed that the government is pushing France to make more effort to stop criminal gangs sending asylum seekers across the Channel in small boats, while the boats are still in French waters. The Home Secretary said, "One of the things we have been looking at in particular is around the maritime agreements, where we have seen the gangs take advantage of the fact that the current French rules prevent French law enforcement from intervening in French waters. The French Interior Minister and I both agree that those rules need to change, and that's why he's instigated this maritime review." Ms. Cooper said, "We obviously want to see that one come into place as rapidly as possible to prevent the boat crossings taking place in the first place." GB News host Emily Carver has criticised plans for delivery companies to implement facial recognition checks as merely the bare minimum in preventing illegal immigrants from working as riders. Immigration enforcement teams are preparing to launch what officials describe as a nationwide blitz on illegal working hotspots, with particular focus on the gig economy. The strategic operation will bring together officers nationwide to target migrants suspected of working illegally while receiving taxpayer-funded accommodation or financial support. Speaking on GB News, former Immigration Minister Kevin Foster said, "There is certainly technology that these firms could be using. Just think of our own banking apps, where virtually any transaction can require you to show your face or use biometrics. It doesn't strike me as impossible for some of these delivery firms to implement similar systems. For example, if you accept a job, you could be prompted to quickly scan your face, just like when you unlock your phone. That kind of technology is readily available. I think the government needs to ask why it is not already being used. Some reports suggest that, if for example, if required, a daily scan would be too intrusive. Frankly, I suspect it's the companies dragging their feet because at the end of the day, they see a bountiful supply of cheap labour who are happy to work. GB News host Emily fumed. That should be the bare minimum. Sorry, that should be the bare minimum, shouldn't it? Face ID for every job you have. Safety of people who are receiving the items from Uber Eats, deliveries and whatever, and also trying to prevent illegal immigrants from taking these jobs to begin with. But do we need to go a step further and say to the likes of Uber Eats, Deliveroo, Just Eat, we're not going to let you do your business in this country until you can tell us you have done absolutely everything you can to prevent illegal immigrants from using your app and exploiting the use of your app in this way. He said absolutely, we should set minimum standards, and also, by the way, not just illegal migrants. This is an opportunity for those who have criminal records where really you would not want them delivering stuff to your house. The French President Emmanuel Macron last night pledged that France will finally adopt a firm approach to the small boat crisis, but warned that Britain must act to make it harder for migrants to build a new life here. The President and First Lady were welcomed by the Prince and Princess of Wales as he arrived in the UK yesterday for a 3-day state visit. In a wide-ranging speech, Mr Macron, under pressure over record small boat numbers this year, said a summit with Sir Keir Starmer this week would produce tangible results aimed at reducing the flow of illegal arrivals across the Channel. But he said the UK also had to address the pull factors. That mean a third of all illegal migrants entering the EU are heading for the Channel. France has long complained that the UK makes it too easy for illegal migrants to work and claim benefits in this country, with one of Mr Macron's MPs recently saying Britain has become an El Dorado for migrants. Mr Macron said Britain and France had a shared responsibility to address irregular migration with humanity, solidarity and firmness. It was legitimate, he said, for migrants to hope for a better life elsewhere, but he said the two countries cannot allow rules for taking in people to be flouted and criminal networks to cynically exploit the hopes of many individuals with so little respect for human life. His comments came after the warning that Sir Keir's plans for a one-in, one-out migration returns deal could trigger a surge in arrivals this summer. The Prime Minister will hold talks with Mr Macron at Downing Street today in a bid to finalise the details of a returns deal, which government sources yesterday said is in the balance. The two are expected to use a summit tomorrow to announce plans to step up enforcement on French beaches in return for millions of pounds in extra funding from the UK. But Sir Keir is also pushing for a returns deal that would allow the UK to send back some migrants in return for accepting a similar number from France. Ministers believe the plan could help as a deterrent to those seeking a new life in the UK, but government sources acknowledge the scale of any scheme is likely to be very limited initially. Lucy Morton of the Immigration Service Union warned that the announcement of any new scheme could trigger a surge in arrivals. She said, "Whenever there's a new policy, we have seen it time and time again. People smugglers try to push migrants across, saying go now before it's too late." Border Force officials also said to have warned ministers privately that announcing the scheme before it is ready to be implemented could spark another wave of crossings. Some have predicted that the smugglers' gangs could offer discounts for those who sign up to cross quickly in a form of summer sale. And the type of people that are coming here illegally to do this kind of thing. A 6-year-old boy was left covered in blood in a ditch after he was held down, pepper sprayed, and had his genitals cut off amid rumours that the attack is linked to voodoo or Satanism. The young boy was found bleeding profusely, crying for help, drenched in his own blood in South African scrubland. Locals eventually rushed to his rescue upon hearing his desperate screams. Initially fearing he had been stabbed, his saviours were appalled to discover he had been castrated. Discovered on a desolate land near a gold mine at the Blue Sky informal settlement, the boy was on the brink of death from blood loss when located. As reported, the community of Boksburg was shaken by the news of the gruesome assault, with parents becoming increasingly anxious about their children's safety. One local who wished to remain anonymous due to fear of retaliation said, "Who would do such a thing to a little boy? It really is the cruelest of the cruel. To pepper spray the little boy is bad enough, but to cut off his genitals is just barbaric. And that kid will have mental issues for the rest of his life." Another resident added, "The rumours that it is Satanism or taking body parts for a voodoo ritual, but this little boy will now not be able to have children ever." Resident Chantal Nord expressed her fears, saying, "I'm considering moving out of the area as we feel unsafe, as I have boys as well, and I don't want them to be attacked as well. I know the boy, and he is often looking around for a bit of food or a bit of loose change. And he gets by, and he's always smiling, and he's always polite. But then these sick African bastards who are just animals. And these are the ones that are coming into the country by the thousands." Thank you for listening to the Shattered Planet podcast. All of our news stories and more can be found on our open Facebook group, Shattered Planet. You can find all of our socials in the description box below. And remember to subscribe and follow our channel so you don't miss the latest stories from around the UK and abroad. Stay vigilant and stay safe.
In the dark of the night, a city in despair, whispers in the alley, secrets fill the air. A shattered planet where the truth is hard to find, mysteries unraveling, leaving scars behind. Shattered planet where where the shadows breed. Crimes unsolved, a never-ending need. Rocking the headlines, the stories untold. Welcome to the chaos, the darkness unfolds.